ricotta gnocchi. So I'm going to start with some ricotta cheese in a large bowl here. Ricotta cheese is a delicious fresh cheese. To that, I'm going to add just 2 eggs. These are just 2 whole eggs that I'll add in. That's going to help stick everything together. I have a little bit of salt here and a little bit of pepper as well. So what I want to do is break these yolks and mix this in to incorporate everything together. To this, I'm also going to add some grated Parmesan cheese. And this Parmesan cheese we bought as a block and grated on a microplane, so you can see it's very, very fine. It's going to make a cheesy gnocchi. And I'll just keep mixing this to incorporate everything. You want to make sure that this is incorporated very well and mixed together so that you don't get lumps of cheese through your gnocchi. Once it forms sort of a uniform amount, what we will do is start adding our flour. I want to add about 2/3 of my flour to start. Depending on humidity and how dry your flour could be, you could need a little bit more or less flour. So I'll just mix this in. And what I want to do is get this to a dumpling consistency, a soft dough. So I'm just going to mix this together. It can get challenging to mix with a spatula or a spoon after a while, so I'll have to flip it onto my board and finish mixing by hand. I'm just going to dust a little bit on my board, and then I'll flip my dough out onto that. So now, this I just want to keep kneading until it's not sticky anymore. If you find it sticking to your hands or sticking to the board, you can add a little bit more flour. You want to knead this for about 3 minutes once you get it to a nice dough consistency that's not too sticky anymore. So what you want to do is fold it over and roll it back and then sort of stretch it out. And you can see once you start kneading, it starts to get a little bit more sticky, so we'll just put a bit more flour on it. Just keep kneading this until all that flour is absorbed and we get a nice dough. It's a good dough consistency right there. It's springy but not tacky at all to your fingers. So now what I want to do is just knead this for about 3 minutes. So I've kneaded this now for about 3 minutes. As you can see, it's not tacky at all. It's sort of a springy consistency of dough. So now what we want to do is roll out our actual little gnocchi dumplings. So I have a plastic bench scraper here. What I want to do is cut this into 4 so it's manageable pieces. The ones I'm not using I can just set off to the side. And then what I want to do with this is just roll it out into a sort of a log shape. And then with 2 hands you want to roll this, and while you're rolling you're pulling out. And you want to get this into a uniform thickness of a rope. It's about 1/2 inch thick. If you find you have thicker spots and thinner spots, work on the thicker spots, and as you roll, sort of pull out with your hands, so rolling in a pulling motion. They don't have to be exactly perfect, but they need to be somewhat uniform. So once this is almost uniform, you can kind of squeeze it a little bit to make sure that everything's as normal as possible. And then again, with your dough scraper, what you want to do is, I like to cut off the ends. And then in about 1/2 inch pieces, just push straight down and chop through this. And what that's going to do is give you perfect little ricotta gnocchi dumplings. And these, it's a fresh pasta, so they cook in boiling water in 1 to 2 minutes. You add them to salted boiling water. As soon as they float to the top, they're done. You can toss them in your favorite sauce. They're great with tomato sauce, cream sauce, anything really. So it's a fantastic side dish. Visit ATCOBlueflamekitchen.com for more tips.